second for people to come in. If you are in the chat room, let me know if you hear me clearly. Let me know if you hear me clearly, and let me check that it is broadcasting everywhere, and then we are going to get started. Today's episode is going to be in honor of the American election, which is imminent. I am going to be doing a special Corona Cast comedy show, which is looking at Trump and trying to find the 10 funniest Trump jokes. Now, these are not the 10 funniest Trump jokes that anybody have told. I am trying to find the 10 funniest Trump jokes that I, Daliso Chaponda, has written and performed. I have written and performed a lot. I've written and performed a lot of Trump jokes. I actually have a database where I keep track of all the jokes which I tell. And over the last 4 years, I have done 87 Trump jokes, 87 different routines about Trump, right? He has beaten the record previously set by George W. Bush, who only had 41. He has beaten him by a country mile. But the elections are coming. So either Trump is going to be out, and I will have to say farewell to all of these routines, or he's going to win, and it's going to be 4 more years of Trump routines. So I thought it was a good idea to sit back, take a look at the top 10 subjects, 10 moments, which I have decided to lampoon, tell you some of the funny things which I said about them. And the way this show is going to work is there's going to be 5 Trump jokes, 5 Trump moments, which we'll look at. And then there's going to be a short intermission in which I chat to you who happen to be in the chat room. So please be a responsive audience, right? If you find something funny, LOL. If you have a question, ask the questions and I will address them in the intermission. Then there are going to be 5 more Trump moments, and that's going to be the entire show, ladies and gentlemen. But before I get started, it's very important, ladies and gentlemen, to let you know that this show is also a charity opportunity, right? In your life, you may have been tempted to donate to some poor, starving African, right? I fully understand. This is something that you do on occasion. It's very validating. Ever since Bob Geldof and U2, people like that, Bono, made it very popular to help starving Africans. So why go through a middleman? Why donate to some cause? Why not, right? Why not take this opportunity to skip the middleman, and you can feed this African adult? Okay, now it's not necessarily as satisfying as feeding a starving African child, but feed this African adult. And how can you feed this African adult? These are the ways that are possible, okay? You will be able to, if you look in the comments of wherever you are watching this, you will be able to see links. There's a link that you can either just PayPal me, send me some money on PayPal, right? If you're a PayPaler, or you can support me on Ko-fi, K-O-F-I. And don't even think of it as support. You're contributing to a comedy show, and you can also become a patron if you want to do a monthly Netflix kind of thing. But without further ado, now that you know about the money thing, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with the show. So, trying to think of the Trump's funniest moments is very difficult, because every week, literally every week, at least one other contender came up. Trump often makes you do Trump-related jokes if you're a comedian. Doesn't make you do it, but it's often an easy way to get a laugh. But some weeks, you're not even writing a joke. You're just quoting what he said verbatim and getting a laugh, okay? And some people say, oh, but if Trump's gone, won't you miss him? No, I'm a comedian. I want to write jokes. I do not like having a subject who is funnier than me, who I can just say the things he said and people laugh already. I want to apply my brain and to write the joke, okay? So there are lots of lists on the internet, right, of Trump's craziest moments, Trump's funniest moments, which already is quite an accomplishment because most presidents do not have top 10 most ridiculous tweets, top 10 most ridiculous things they've said, top 10 most offensive moments of Trump. He's got all of this. You can find lots more of that, but this time I'm looking at the jokes which I have said. And just a little note, I have not necessarily done rigorous fact checking, and I'm expecting people in my comments to be saying that's not exactly what he said, but he does zero fact checking, so in his honor I am doing no fact checking too. So let's get started with number 10, ladies and gentlemen, which started right at the beginning. Okay, he didn't waste any time in giving comedians fodder. Literally the day he was inaugurated, Sean Spicer, who at the time, right, he's had many press secretaries, but at the time he was a press secretary, he made a speech talking about how this was the largest audience to witness an inauguration, period. Now, if you look, there was photographic evidence disproving it, right? Because if you look on the left, if you look at that, that is a photograph of Trump's inauguration, right? If you look at the picture on the right, that is a photograph of Obama's inauguration. And they also found photos of previous presidents' inaugurations, which were bigger, right? The only way that more people saw Trump's inauguration, if at least 500,000 of the people in these other inaugurations were just had their eyes closed. Okay, I don't know how you watch inauguration. Some people just wanted to hear it, so they had their eyes closed. They were there, they weren't looking. So actually, Sean Spicer was accurate. But it got me thinking, like, why did they even call attention to it? Nobody cares, right? Nobody was. I was not going to go looking and say, oh, look how few people were at the inauguration. Do not call attention to it unless you have to. There's no reason to tell us all about this. If you have a problem with size, do not call attention to it. Similarly, I need to put it out there, okay? If you are a person who has perhaps small hands, okay, do not wear bright yellow gloves in order to call attention to it. We might not have noticed your tiny hands, okay? And if you have a tiny penis, okay? Some people, alas, have the tiny penises. Do not call attention to it by wearing a bright fluorescent green condom, okay? Do not call attention to that tiny penis, and most people will not even notice. In fact, you may be even having sex with someone and they won't even notice because they didn't feel it. But do not call attention to it unless you have to. And if you want to wear a bright condom, I suggest blue. The connoisseur's choice. Let's move on to the next subject, the next moment from Trump. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get going. Hello, people in the chat room. Hello, Shawnee. Yes, indeed, I was on BGT. Hello to Sean Alexander. Hello to Jacqueline Boylan. Hello to everybody. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to do a more complete chat to everybody in the chat room after the 5th of these. Just letting you know. Because some people are like, can he see us? Yes, I can see you. Okay, number 9. Flirting with white supremacists. They have done multiple routines about Trump's tendency to flirt with white supremacists and never condemn them. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. If somebody asks you, hey, do you think being a Nazi is wrong? You just say no. You just say no. It's like the easiest lie to tell. Just say no. Even if you think it's yes, just say no. He's been flirting with them for years. Okay, the first case was when there was a Charlottesville demonstration. There's a photograph over here. And if you take a look at this photograph, these guys were hardcore, okay? As you can see, one of them over here has a Nazi flag, right? Just putting his colors out and proud, right? There's some Confederate flags. And then what about this dude here who's got a shield? He's got a shield like he's in some racist version of Game of Thrones, right? he's got a shield, like a Dungeons and Dragons shield. So these were the kind of people who went down to Charlottesville. There was violence the next day. Trump said, "Oh, I think there's blame on both sides, and if you reported it accurately, you would say so." He said this to a reporter, and the reporter proceeded to say, "Wait, the neo-Nazis started this, right? They showed up in Charlottesville to protest, and they started this." Trump said, excuse me, they didn't put themselves, and you had some very bad people in the group, but you also had people who were very fine people, very, very fine people on both sides. This has continued throughout his last 4 years, many a case where online or in interviews he is asked to condemn white supremacists, and he finds a way to sort of say, oh, there's some good people, there's some bad people, or I don't know about these people. Most recently, he was in, was it in a debate, the Proud Boys thing? It was in a debate. Yeah, in a debate, he was asked to condemn the white supremacists, and he said, which group? And they suggested the Proud Boys, and he said, okay, fine, Proud Boys, stand by, stand down, which is not a condemnation. That's saying, get ready for Operation Fight Back, Operation Racist. I don't know what you'd call it, a racist operation. I'm welcome to suggestions for the racist operations. And what's the craziest thing about, this Charlottesville thing, which you see the picture of that's not one right-wing group. That was many different right-wing groups which got together and formed Unite the Right, okay? There were members who were neo-Nazis, National Socialists, Klan members, Hammerskins, whatever they are, and Crew 38. It was sort of like the racist Avengers, okay? A racist superhero team called the Intolerance or something like that, and it's Captain Make America Great. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the eighth moment where we were all stunned. A lot of us were terrified, right? We all thought that the apocalypse was coming when Trump and Kim Jong-un began to have a very public social media spat, threatening each other with nuclear weapons. We thought that would be the apocalypse. Little did we know Corona had other ideas. It was like, don't take my moment, I'm coming. But this was a few years ago. We didn't yet know that a pandemic was on the way. So this was terrifying. I don't know if you remember how terrifying it was. Trump and Kim Jong-un were trading verbal blows, right? And it's oh, oops, sorry. So this all started where Kim Jong-un started testing weapons. He's had a history of testing weapons, and Trump started calling him Rocket Man. They started swearing at each other. He called Trump a dotard. Trump said, my red button is bigger and more powerful than yours. It was insane because it was leaders of countries, leaders of nuclear-capable countries, arguing like children in a playground. However, it is arguable that Trump's tactics worked, right? Because Kim Jong-un de-escalated. Maybe the only way to communicate to an overgrown child is to speak in overgrown child language. So is it possible that the UN over the last 60 years or so has not been using the right way to try and de-escalate violence? Maybe the United Nations should rebrand and should now use playground tactics, right? Instead of making speeches, the Secretary General for the UN can stand on stage and say things like, I know what you are, but what I am. Oh, oops, I know you are, but what am I? I tried and I failed, right? What I'm saying is maybe instead of diplomacy, we should just have countries sitting on either side of the table and saying to each other, na 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 na, na 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 na, catch me if you can, catch me if you can. It worked with Trump and Kim Jong-un. Maybe it will work with other dictators, okay? So next time Putin irritates people, what you gotta do is stick your tongue out and say, nah, Apparently, that's the tactic. Sarah Hall says people are better behaved than Trump. Like children are better behaved than Trump and Kim Jong-un. This is entirely true. Keep putting the comments in. There are 2 more of these, and then I'm going to take a full look at the chat in the intermission. Okay, let's move on to the next moment. The next moment, number 6, right? Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, is Trump chose to blame the WHO for mishandling the coronavirus and to withdraw funding for the World Health Organization during a global pandemic, right? Not like, hey, maybe you guys aren't the most efficient, we need to restructure, or we need to look at it like, let's defund, let's pull out funding during a pandemic, right? This is like there's a house is on fire and you're like, hey, time to shut down the fire engines, right? This is not necessarily the time for it, okay? But this is one of the moments which created a lot of jokes. I wrote multiple of them, and it was just another element of the wheel of blame. You might not know this, but I think that Trump, before speeches, has a wheel. He's got a wheel. It's like a casino wheel. You know, he's all about Vegas. It's like a casino wheel, and it's got written on it, Obama, Democrats, WHO, Crooked Hillary, media, Sleepy Joe, Obama. And what he does is like, who am I going to blame this today? And he spins it round, right? It lands on the person to be blamed of that day, and then he makes a speech saying the cause of all your problems, the cause of all of the suffering in the world is this group. And he chose the World Health Organization. Now this is a World Health Organization. A lot of people are like, yeah, they screwed up, maybe they screwed up, but have you seen what the World Health Organization has achieved since the time it was created, right? It dealt with yellow fever, right? Yellow fever, vaccinated 5 million people against measles and polio, almost wiped out polio. They fought cholera, they fought Ebola. These are just the doctors you're looking for, right? Even if you're pissed off at them. It seemed very bizarre. So that goes to number 7. And number 6, ladies and gentlemen, number 6, before the little before the break, is one which is alleged, right? So most of these, there is video proof of Trump saying these things, or there is a tweet which he will deny exists where you see him saying these things, right? Often he then immediately says the opposite, but at least there's proof. But this one is alleged. But based on his previous behavior, it sounds very believable, okay? So some top cabinet members said that in a speech, no, in a discussion in cabinet, he was ranting about why people from shithole countries, which are third world countries, including Haiti, are swamping the U.S., okay? Something to that effect. Again, this was alleged and this was hearsay, but that entirely was it. He was lamenting shithole countries of the third world coming to the U.S. Now, I'm from Malawi, a developing country, alleged shithole country in the house. I would like to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the following image. You are wondering, what is this image? So, Melania Trump, directly after Trump had said this, she visited Malawi, okay? She visited Malawi, and you will see that some Malawians wrote a little sign which says, "Welcome to Malawi, hashtag not a shithole," right? Which is nice, but if I was in Malawi, oh, Melania's lucky I was not in Malawi. At the time, I was in the UK. Because if I was in Malawi, I would have used my connections to arrange that the lodge, okay, or the place that she is staying, the hotel that she is staying, does not have a functioning toilet. Right? That's what I would have done. And trust me, you can find one in Malawi, right? You can find a crappy lodge which has like a badly functioning pit latrine outside, or a toilet which needs servicing, or let's say we couldn't find one, what I would do is I would break the toilet in the hotel where she is staying, and when she complains, she'd be like, yo, find your own shithole. That's what we should have been, a little bit more petty and vindictive, but I applaud the Malawians who made that sign. Well played, well played, well played. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is intermission time. Intermission time. Let me take a look at the people who are in the chat. Actually, what I'm going to do, just for the sake of, as I'll put it there. Okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see how we're doing. A lot of people in today. Very good. I assume it's because the weather is bad, or maybe it's because the subject is Trump. It's brought more of you. I see people across all the different platforms. So on Facebook, Sean Alexander says, you hope you're well. I am not really well. The UK is going back into lockdown, which is very frustrating. I had gigs coming back. I had potential earnings coming back, and now I'm back at looking at my non-existent savings, which have dwindled to nothingness in the course of the coronavirus, and starting to worry about how I am going to pay my bills. Started to, you can slide into depression. I have fended it off temporarily as I try to plot and plan. So not doing well, but I am not the only one. We're all in this together. Bashan Kennedy says, we will have 4 more years of Donald Trump. Oh, you are some kind of soothsayer who believes that Trump will win. Okay, welcome back, Darth Eglow. You are very, very welcome. Oh, sounds like I'm a little too close to the mic. I'm not sure what I can do about that because I'm quite far from it. You can turn down the sound. I can turn down the sound a little. Hopefully that helps. Okay, Jacqueline Boylan says, you think there's something electrical nearby. Oh, I probably should have, maybe my iPad is interfering. Let me move it over here. I'm not sure what I can do about that. Okay, did I go in BGT? Yes, I did, Shawnee. I was on BGT, and that was a few years ago. The technical term, says Sarah Hall, is micropenis. Yes, possibly Trump has a micropenis. Let's see how you're doing. Delphina Deficoco Johnson says, are you a Nazi? Just say no. Yes, how hard is that?
Yeah.
Just say no. Like, you don't even have to believe it. This is the craziest thing. They threw him the most softball question. That is not a difficult question. On 60 Minutes, he was like, you always ask me unfair questions, unfair, difficult questions. We're not asking you to solve quadratic equations. We're asking you if you support Nazis. That is the easiest question you can ask a politician. Just say no. Generally, of all groups, I would say Nazis is the one group where you're pretty safe by saying, fuck off. Of course, we're not idiots. We know why he does it. It's because he has supporters, a lot of supporters in that base. He doesn't want to lose their vote. So that's the game which he's playing. But we fully understand. Let's see what's going on. Trump versus Kim Jong-un, says Dick versus dictator. That is very true. I like that. We should have called it Dick versus dictator. How are we doing? Hello, everybody. Hello. Oh, glad you're enjoying the show, Shawnee. Good to have you here, Daniel Hammond. Let's see what we're doing. Oh, Daniel Hammond had some suggestion. Either way, bye. No one is forcing you to watch the show if you are not enjoying it. That is entirely the case. But do not worry. Do not feel that you have to fight with him. If you disagree with... if you disagree with me because you're a fan of Trump, you can go watch a pro-Trump comedy show. There are lots of them. Okay, let's see what's going on here. It's funny that Hillary, Biden, and Trump should all be in jail. That must be fun for America. I'm not sure what conspiracy theories you have been watching, the Dank Raccoon. I'm not entirely sure any of them should be in prison, but I also would say I don't think Trump should be in prison. I just think he shouldn't necessarily win the next election. It's not a matter of of allegations. It's a matter of running countries. Okay, how are we doing? Apparently it's only for a month. Hopefully it is only for a month, the lockdown. We hope that. Hello in Kenya and hello in Rwanda. Good to have you around, Amani Laurent. Excellent. Oh, the sound is better now that I've turned it down. What am I drinking? I'm drinking coffee. Excellent. Oh, that's excellent, Jacqueline Boylan. You say that's what's wrong. Donald Trump is using a micro penis rather than a microphone. I like it. Okay. Love from South Africa to Vuyulwetu. Good to have you in the house. Okay, let's do the final 5 moments. The final 5 moments which have been absurd with Trump. Okay, number 5. Oops. Okay, I should have arranged these better. Okay, here we go. That's where we were. Number 5 is a moment which I, as a comedian, maybe I'm speaking out of envy, right? Maybe I just envy this. But Trump got a huge laugh, right? As a comedian, I always envy other people laugh. But this was not a laugh which he planned when he was giving a speech at the United Nations General Assembly. He said that I have accomplished more than any other administration in the history of our country, and the entire UN floor began giggling. Right? And he tried to save it. He tried to say, I was trying to make them laugh, right? And I was like, oh, you're trying to make a laugh by mocking your lack of accomplishments by saying you've made a lot of accomplishments. I understand you're trying to spin it, but he got a huge laugh, and it's a little bit ironic because a lot of what he was saying in his early years is the whole world is laughing at us because of the things that Obama was doing, because of the things that previous presidents did. The whole world is laughing at us. They're laughing at us when actually, literally, you had the entire world laughing at you. And I can't believe that I've written more jokes about you, Trump, than George W. Bush, who used to create words like misunderestimate. Well, I misunderestimated your capacity for idiocy, Trump. So that we go is number 5, which brings us to number 4. Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, is the nepotism. Lord Almighty, I gotta say, as someone from Africa, right, maybe I cannot point fingers. There's been a lot of nepotism over the generations with our leaders, but Trump is competing with the likes of Gaddafi. I mean, look how he rolled. He has hit Ivanka, right? Ivanka Trump, his daughter, serves as advisor to the president. I do not know what qualifications other than being his daughter she has, right? And then her husband, right, whose main qualification is he had sex with Trump's daughter, right? Something which he clearly envies, right? He is the senior advisor and assistant, right? And there's an actual law in America, a 1967 anti-nepotism law, but nobody ever brought it up, right? But I bring this up because it's created some very funny moments. So this here, ladies and gentlemen, let me make it a bit bigger, is Ivanka Trump has been sent by Trump to a women's rights event. I've forgotten exactly what it was called, but you can see right over there that she is seated next to Christine Lagarde and Angela Merkel, right? And she is making a speech in which she's saying things like, Donald Trump, my father, is a champion of women's rights. Now, you might not be able to see, but let me translate, okay? So right now, you've got Christine Lagarde putting her hand to her head. She has not got a headache. Let me translate. This means, what the fuck is this bitch saying, right? And you might not speak German, so you might not know what is going through Angela Merkel's mind, but Angela Merkel's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe she said that. Did she really say what I think I said? That is what is going through their mind at this very moment. I do not understand how Donald Trump is winning the nepotism Olympics. Okay, which brings us to number 3, ladies and gentlemen, which is his ongoing battles with Stormy Daniels, who whenever he tweets about her, he calls her horse face, making fun of her looks. She looks like that. Donald Trump looks like he looks. That's quite brave. That's brave to call attention, to insult someone's looks if you look like Donald Trump, but he is nothing else if not confident, right? Now, he slept with her, paid her hush money, and then has had constant online fights with her. I've just got to say, she checkmated him, okay? She checkmated him. She published a book in which she described having sex with him, and she gave us all the revelation that Donald Trump's penis looks like the mushroom character in Mario, okay? And she explained, if you don't know what that is, right? That is what his penis looks like, okay? Like the mushroom character in Mario, and I quote from her autobiography, looks like a toadstool with yeti pubes. You know what? When Donald Biden was looking for a running mate, I was just hoping he'd call Stormy Daniels, right? Because really, think about it. Who could make him, what could you argue? No matter what he says in the debate, someone should have just said, yeti pubes, man, yeti pubes. Let's move to number two. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is Trump versus the coronavirus. I think I probably wrote around, all the jokes I wrote, around 20 of them have been since this March, referring to the statements, the denial, the weird suggestions that Trump has made, everything from suggesting that we should inject disinfectant in our bodies, right, to saying that if you don't test, there'll be no cases. We've got lots of cases because we're testing too much. If we stop testing, we're going to have less cases. I hope this is not the way that anyone else has dealt with any health problems. Oh, I didn't go to the doctor, so clearly I don't have diabetes because I wasn't tested for it, so I don't have it, right? He suggested hitting the body with a tremendous, whether ultraviolet or powerful light. He's called it the China virus consistently with xenophobic little echoes. It's one of those things where a lot of people, I'll admit this, a lot of people thought, right? A lot of us thought that no matter how bizarre a leader is, right? No matter how much of a buffoon a leader is, there are certain situations which will make them rise to the occasion, right? There have been others in history who people considered buffoons or idiots, but in the face of a great challenge, they rose to the occasion. A good example is Churchill, who is a very complicated character, who had a number of negative characteristics, and during his time was often seen as a buffoon and someone who was saying things were offending people. But in the face of World War II, he somehow seemed to find some leadership qualities which people did not see there previously, and had this legacy, right? He has other legacies which are more controversial, but in his dealing with the Nazis in World War II, there was a lot that people find inspirational. So people said, okay, maybe Trump is a buffoon, maybe Trump says gaffes all the time, but in the face of a real crisis, he will rise to the occasion. Quite the opposite. I think that he plunged to deeper depth than he had gone before. Somehow, I think possibly the funniest moment was suggesting injecting disinfectant into the body, which I did try it. I didn't have corona. I just, you know, I'm easily influenced. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, Trump's #1 generator of jokes.
Oh yeah.
It has to go to Twitter, okay? Trump on Twitter literally every single day throws out another nugget or two. Like, I already have talked about this. The first joke I told about this was my frustration that I am his follower. I follow him on Twitter. That means I'm a Trump follower. They need a new button on Twitter called monitoring, right? Because that would be more accurate. We want to know what he's up to. He has spouted so many stream of consciousness rants suggesting things like, sorry losers, but my IQ is one of the highest and you all know it. He has retweeted conspiracies of racists and QAnon conspiracies, and he's fanned the flames of controversy. For example, the tweet which you can see that I've highlighted was during the Black Lives Matter early protests. He said, if the looting starts, the shooting starts, referring, of course, to a civil rights, echoing the words of a civil rights controversial sheriff. His Twitter feed is, above all things, I think, his lasting legacy. I actually think that this will be studied in schools of the future, right? Because the other interesting thing is, whatever he says, you can usually find a tweet which says the exact opposite that exists. It is I don't know, I think that his tweets are going to become some kind of weird, malevolent, artificial intelligence such as Skynet. If he wins, ladies and gentlemen, if he wins, and there are going to be 4 more years of Trump, I would just like to ask the people who run Twitter, just click deactivate. Just, we'd all be better for it. Just deactivate, you know? It's pretty easy. Click. You've done it before. Do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the CoronaCast Comedy Show. Let's take a final look at the people who are in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. And I also will, as I do the final chat, I'll put up the little support button. If you want to contribute to the show, you can click on the description and you could either PayPal me, you can Ko-fi me, like no amount is too small, no amount is too big. You could become a Patreon, and please consider it. You've got to understand that. Now look, if your life is more of a struggle than mine, please don't. But if you are somebody who is doing well, whether you be getting you're a part of some scheme or you've got a job which isn't as affected by the coronavirus, please do consider donating to this, cause things are gonna get hard. Okay, let's take a look at how people are doing. Glad you enjoy my jokes, Shani. You Tiffin, you who do not like the show and do not like it, check out my actual stand-up comedy clips. You will enjoy them more. This is me just chilling out in a kitchen. Okay, hey, Daliso, good to have you in the house. Q. Malawi should send election observers to the U.S. We should. They definitely need it. Dolan, Gia, you saw my videos in Got Talent and you've never laughed so hard in a long time. Thank you so much. I am glad you appreciate it. I have got on Amazon Prime a special called What the African Said. If you have not checked that out, check that out. If you like the BGT stuff, that's an hour of that kind of jokes. Okay, how are we doing? Trump is fake, just like his tan and hair, which I believe is a wig hairpiece, says Sarah Hall. Rahul Kumar asks, am I a Trump supporter? I am not in America, right? I'm in the UK, right? I'm a UK. But if I was in America, I would not be a Trump supporter. But I'm not. And yeah. Are you a Trump supporter, Rahul Kumar? Very interesting. Yes, Sean Alexander, I did not make that up. Ivanka said that he is a champion of women's rights. He really did, ladies and gentlemen. Farsight, how are you doing? Richer you are, the better you look, says Farsight. I know what you're saying. The richer you are, the better you look. But I think it's within reasons. I know he's a supposed billionaire, but it doesn't make him look that much better. He thought coronavirus was a hoax. Somebody says this is true. Yorkshire Yeti says, I hope Nintendo sues him for IP infringement. That would be absolutely great, actually. Sarah Horse says, Chelsea has gone mad. Why are you saying that Chelsea has gone mad?
I went mad. I've been mad. Where you been?
Okay, she's always been mad. I'm not sure what she did to make you realize that she has gone mad. Maybe you've been watching her TikToks, but she's always been mad. Yeah. Okay. ladies and
Where
gentlemen.
have you been, Sarah Hall?
Oh, Rui Fernandez, you're right. I did not include Paper, Woman, Man, Camera, TV, which was one of his absurd moments. But there was too much competition. Okay, here we do. As Rui did, if there are any moments you think I should have included, which I didn't, do let me. Oh, okay. So MSC Island says, yes, indeed. I hope you are right. You are not a fan of him. Somebody says, I did not mention grabbing the pussy. I was keeping myself to moments within him being president. That was in the lead up to him being president. But indeed, that was an absurd moment indeed, which would have killed most candidates. That's what is actually slightly amazing, is that despite doing things which you would think would destroy the career of any politician, he somehow has pulled through, which is why it is no way a sure thing that he will lose. So if you are in America and you are not a fan, vote. Okay, what are we doing? What are we seeing? You only caught the last few minutes, Oxy. Well, thank you for stopping by. And I'm glad you saw my face, and we will see each other's face again, hopefully in normal life in a few months. This is what I'm saying. Citizen of Nowhere was a great podcast. Yes, Yorkshire Yeti, I am actually writing series 3 of Citizen of Nowhere. Anybody who doesn't know what he's talking about my radio show Citizen of Nowhere, which is all available on BBC Sounds, and we will record series 3 in a few months, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent. I don't know who you are saying are asswipes, Rob Dalton, but I hope they hear your insult. He just randomly said asswipes. Have a very lovely evening, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Daliso Chaponda. I will be back. Ciao.